Hey guys, I'm Bryan Paul, and I'm very proud to announce that we're starting a new series here without Parole, and it's going to be talking to developers of different video games. Now, I'm extremely happy to say that our very first guest is Pawel Gajda. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, it's good.
And he is the community manager over at Carbon Studio, the makers of The Wizards. How you doing, Pawel?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you doing? You too?
Fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you here, all the way across the world.
For me. Yeah, it's a pleasure all mine. Yeah, and I'm happy to be the first person on this new show. I'm really excited.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, we've been hearing about The Wizards for such a long time, and so it's been on PC for a while.
Yeah, so it's been released in early access in July 2017, and then we had the full release on Steam March 2018. So quite a long time ago, almost a year ago right now, the full release.
And now you're bringing it to PlayStation VR, which is why we're suddenly so excited about it.
Yeah, actually we spent almost all this time since March developing the game for PlayStation VR. Maybe not exclusively this, but we've been hoping to bring it a little bit faster, sooner, because PlayStation VR was a very exciting platform for us. And at one moment we even thought about like doing the PC and PlayStation VR release at the same time, but then it turned out that it's a little bit easier on PC VR. So this is why this like gap. But yeah, it's finally happening very soon. So
we definitely hear that quite a bit. So Carbon Studio isn't the only development team that has talked about how much easier it is to bring things to the PC than it is to PSVR. Yeah,
there's probably like only 200 VR games on PlayStation VR, something like that. You probably know better than me, but compared to Steam, it's a little bit less. Yeah.
So less competition. You get to allow your game to shine a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I'm not happy with that. I think for now, VR, at least from the developer perspective, it's not about the competition. It's about figuring out stuff and what works and what not. And we all just have one goal to make VR massive, to make it really take off. So it's not about the more games the better. We also we are gamers too. So when you play on PlayStation VR, there are some titles that we would really hope to see on this platform already. Yeah, but frankly, happily you got like Beat Saber recently. So this is a huge thing. I think it's like the biggest VR game ever made. So yeah, it's good that you have it already. Finally.
Well, and so since our crowd, our demographic here, the people watching our channel are all about PlayStation VR and maybe haven't seen anything on The Wizards. Can you tell them a little bit about what to expect when this game launches?
Yeah, of course. So this is a single player game. It's action adventure. Basically, you become a wizard. It's just like obvious, and you're a young wizard, young magician with not that many knowledge about how to cast spells, stuff like that. And basically, there's a kingdom that's been attacked by the enemy forces, and you have to protect the kingdom of Meliora. And it's like a 6-hour single-player campaign where you start with only the most basic spells like Fireball and Shield, and then you learn, proceeding through the campaign, you learn new spells, you learn how to upgrade the spells, how to master them, and probably the thing that's the most like outstanding about the game and the biggest selling point is that you basically have no pop-up windows or button combinations for casting spells. It's all about the gestures. So we figured we designed a system of tracking the gestures of players' hands, and with these gestures you have like unique gestures for each spell, for conjuring them, then for using them against the enemies. So for the Fireball, you do something like this, and then you have this ball of fire, you can throw it at the enemies. For Shield, you do something like this. Then you have to draw a bow in the air to conjure it. Then you have, of course, can shoot it. And this is the aspect of the game that again and again is something that is mentioned in the reviews. And yeah, so interesting thing is that usually when you have new releases of games on the platform, you don't know if the game is good or bad or what the people say about a certain title. And with The Wizards, we have more than 100 reviews on Steam, and we are happy that more than 80%, 85% of these reviews are positive reviews, and people say that they really like enjoy the experience, and this is something that really makes us proud, and hopefully you guys on PlayStation VR will also enjoy it.
I definitely hope so. Now, with everything being gesture-based and casting spells by movements, did you find any issues when you were porting this to PlayStation VR with like these move controllers that are 7 years old?
Yeah, but it's not bad. I wouldn't say it was like a big issue. We had to make some changes to adjust it for the PlayStation Move controllers, but probably the biggest problem was with Fireball and with bow, because with Fireball, to throw it, you have to like do something like this, and usually the right hand it was like occluded by your head, so it lost tracking.
Sure.
And with bow also, you've been drawing arrows like this from your back, and right now you just do something like over here. So we made sure that the player do not have to hide his hands behind his or her hands behind the head. And we also, for the players that feel that they're not like performing well enough, let's say with fireballs, we've added actually we already had the auto aim system, but with PlayStation VR we made sure that it's even more reliable, so you can use it if you think that just to help yourself a little bit with custom fireball, stuff like that. But with all the spells, and right now with all the spells, we are happy with the effects, and we hope that it's going to be okay for the players.
And even using the move controllers, we can expect full locomotion, right?
Yeah, of course. So actually, when we developed the game, the first time we released it on Steam Early Access, it was only teleportation movement, and we got a lot of negative reviews based on that, and people were really pissed off that, because the VR community is like much more mature now, and people who like a couple of years ago complained about getting sick, right now they complain that they cannot just fly through the maps with a high speed, like zero comfort setting, stuff like that. So we spent some time adding free locomotion to the game, and right now you can choose either to teleport only exclusively, or you can decide to move freely with your left hand, and then use right hand to teleport. So there are some moments in the game when you have to teleport. So teleportation is just like one of the spells. We made sure it's not breaking the immersion, it's just something in the game. It's just like you as a wizard can teleport a little bit, but you can also move freely if you prefer it this way. It's very similar to Skyrim, actually, the movement system, locomotion system.
Well, that's definitely something we're always happy to hear. Skyrim pretty much nailed it out of the gate. So anyone using a similar locomotion system sounds good to us for sure. Now, of course, the question on everyone's mind is what's going on with this 3D rudder thing, man. Everybody's talking about the 3D rudder. Your game, The Wizards, is prominently displayed in every single advertisement. It's like, bam, right there, 30 games, except here's the one we're focusing on. What do you think about it? How does movement work with it? Do you think it's going to eliminate motion sickness? What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, so we've basically been approached on Gamescom by Florian, one of the guys of 3D Rudder team, and he told us that they're working on this new locomotion method, and with the cooperation with Sony, so we got really excited. And then it turned out that it's easy to implement, that they were interested to put the game in the trailer, either on the box of the upcoming hardware. And so we are really proud of that. And we have currently one or two dev kits in our studio, and a lot of people tried it. And I would say that actually none of us experience locomotion sickness anymore, VR sickness, so it's hard to say whether it will help here. We need some other people to talk about it. But definitely for the Wizards, it adds a lot, because you can use your hands, focus on casting spells. So a lot of spells in the Wizards, they require two hands, and with so when you use one of move controllers to move around the levels, and you use you choose the direction, then you try kind of less focus on casting spells. And when you leave it solely to your exclusively to your legs, which are not used without 3D Rudder, then you can just focus on casting spells. And even people that tried it on CES for 5 or 10 minutes, they've been able to easily adapt to this new locomotion input and move freely around the levels. We saw that it helps because it's very similar to what you know from like DualShock controller. It's very similar to like starting and going back and forth, and even rotation. You can with 3D rudder you can rotate or starve. So it's a lot of options, and we believe that it works very well for the Wizard, and for some other titles like let's say flying simulators. This is going to be a really helpful tool.
Nice. That's awesome to hear, man. And in fact, we've been talking quite a bit about it without actually having our hands on it. So all we're doing on our end is speculating. But it's, in a game like the Wizards where you are using two hands to cast spells, and then it's good to know that there's an alternative. So you can be strafing around the environment, you can be moving around and casting at the same time. So
exactly,
it's fantastic that you guys. It sounds like your game is kind of custom designed for this thing. Yeah,
it definitely will benefit from it.
Excellent.
But you played Skyrim, so you know that even with games like this, it's perfectly playable without 3D rudder. But with 3D rudder, that would be probably even more immersive and comfortable.
Okay. And just for clarification, just so we're all on the same page, no DualShock 4 support, I'm guessing.
No, it's not possible. No.
Okay. I had a feeling with all the gesture-based movement and stuff, I couldn't imagine how you would do that with the DualShock 4.
No, it's like a selling point of the game, that the most like attractive feature, so we could not remove it from the game.
No, excellent. You got to stick to your guns sometimes, man. I think that's a great idea. Now, the game that came out on PC, originally, this isn't the same game we're getting, right? Now, we've been talking about the Enhanced Edition, and when it comes to PSVR, it will be the Enhanced Edition. Is that correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so considering how long time passed from the PC release on Steam and Oculus Store to the PlayStation VR release, we wanted to make sure that we bring something that's new and that we polish the game and add some new features. So the game is going to be a little bit longer, and there are going to be some improvements. Currently on PC VR, the HUD, your health points are displayed in front of you as a floating circle, and it's not the most immersive way of presenting this information to the player in VR. So with Enhanced Edition, it's going to be like a glyph on your hand. So on your gloves, you'll see like a magical glyph that indicates the remaining amount of life points you have. So we get rid of all the user interfaces, the traditional like flat user interfaces, all of them. So we made the game more immersive, and it's going to be a little bit extended with some new features, stuff like that. We'll be ready to disclose a little bit more about it soon. But it's definitely, and also one thing we've added that a lot of players asked us for is a checkpoint system, because on PC right now, when you have the levels and some of them are like 20 minutes or even 40 minutes long, if you die, you have to start from scratch. And this is a big mistake on our side and big commitment. And right now we've added it. So it's going to be a little bit less frustrating when you can just like start from a certain checkpoint instead from the beginning.
That's fantastic, man. I think that's one of the benefits that we have over here on the PlayStation VR side of things, is that you guys get to put your game out on PC, you get to fiddle around with it, get the feedback, and then we get the best version.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we're really confident about that.
And speaking of the best version, will this be Pro enhanced?
Not on the release day, but after the release, we are going to patch it, because we've tested it and we know how to make it happen, and we just have to focus on the core features right now, just to get the game out, and then we'll add it in an update.
That's fantastic, and I've got to ask: there's you're talking about all these different spells and just like the whole world of wizards. Where did all this come from? Like, what is the studio's background with, like, are you guys just crazy Harry Potter fans, or what's the deal?
Yeah, so basically it all started with the Oculus Touch controllers. So, the Oculus, I guess you guys all know what Oculus is, but this is like the first customer focused approach to bring VR in like 10 years, because after 90s we got something that's called like the winter of VR. So for like 10 or 15 years there was nothing going on. No one was trying to like develop VR headsets for the mass market, and then the Oculus came and they promised to bring it to the masses with desk. And then they also, when they released the headset, initially it was only the headset and you had to use your gamepad, and then they added the Oculus Touch controllers. And when we put our hands on these controllers, and it was around, we finished working on our last game, the Alice VR, and we had started asking questions, what should be our next project? And we wanted to make sure that we utilize this new technology, the ability to see your hands in VR, as much as possible. And then we started asking questions, what would be the coolest thing you'd like to do in VR, being able to do everything you want with your hands, and casting spells. It was like one of the first ideas, and then we started from there. And so different spells like get inspirations from different like pop culture sources. Of course, Harry Potter is one of them. Then we have Doctor Strange. So the shield is similar to like half Captain America, half Doctor Strange. Then you have like lightning spell and this lightning strike spell, and this spell is like really inspired by the unlimited power, like Emperor Palpatine. He's doing like this unlimited power. So it's very similar in the game, and even some YouTubers, when they cast this spell, they like shout it because So basically it was like trying to figure out what's the coolest thing to do in VR, and then what are the coolest spells. And then we got a very, very, very creative voice actor, Jason Marnoka, and our writer. They like really get along together, and then the story started to develop. It was like a very iterative process, I'd say, because initially the game was supposed to be like 1 or 2 hours long, wave-based, no locomotion, only teleportation, and then we started to add in new features, adding new stuff, new levels, focus more on the exploration, on free movement, these aspects. So this is how we got to the moment we are here right now.
I mean, it sounds like a really organic process. It sounds like something that, no one person sat down and said, "Here's the game we're going to make." Everybody kind of worked together and kind of did it as you went along.
Yeah. So being in the studio, we have this privilege, this freedom of changing stuff, of iterating quick, and all the team is very, regardless. For instance, I'm a community guy, but I was involved in like figure out what spells should we have in the game, and the artists, the programmers, they all add their input, and it's really really have feeling that it's it's like the child of all of us, this game. So everyone can add something, maybe not everyone and not always, but we have a lot of freedom here.
That's awesome to hear. Now, this isn't Carbon Studios' first VR game. You guys actually had another game called Alice VR, correct?
Yeah. So Alice VR, it's been released in 2016, and it was also a single-player game. It was a sci-fi walking simulator with some light puzzling and puzzle solving. And that game, for instance, it was only free locomotion. So it was just like the opposite of the Wizards. And we also got back in 2016, a lot of players complained about lack of teleportation. People were getting sick. And so it was like a first approach, and we've learned a lot from that time. So we learned that you have to add a lot of different options to the game when you develop for VR, because everyone's different. And some people say that teleportation is breaking the immersion for them. Others say that free movement is breaking their immersion and they prefer to teleport. It's you just have to add a lot of different features, a lot of different options to the game to make sure that everyone can choose something for them. And for PlayStation VR, you'll be able to turn off or adjust the blinders, like the comfort blinders, change speed of movement, the way you rotate, whether it's snap turning or like fluid rotation, smooth rotation, a lot of different options. Yeah, so that game on the release day, Alice VR, it was probably the longest VR game released back in 2016 because it was also like 6 hour long or 7 hours long single player campaign. It's been received like, we got some positive feedback, but most of it was negative, to be honest.
So what you're telling me is you're not bringing that to PlayStation VR anytime soon.
No, we're not bringing it anywhere. And but actually the core gameplay, like the story is not bad, and we are considering to relaunch the game maybe as a flat game for let's say PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 4, because there's a lot of voice acting that's been made and some writing that's really high quality, and we think about making a new game based on that, but it's not going to be like PlayStation VR title. No, I don't think so.
Okay, I had to ask. I know people are curious.
Yeah, sure.
Being a community manager and interacting with all these people who had obviously some feedback about Alice VR, about the Wizards on PC, and obviously everyone everyone very frequently thinks their way is best, and if there's not an option for them, then they get pretty disappointed. And with the advent of Reddit and the internet and everybody being able to discuss things with developers so instantaneously, we're seeing like this whole new era where developers are being extremely transparent with the gamers and having this open dialogue pretty much constantly. How has that affected making a game like the Wizards?
Yeah, so I agree that there's the change going on, and it's something that we are really happy to see, because we are not only developers, we are only gamers ourselves, and I know that a lot of people on my team, they are connected, they are like present or many Discord servers, Discord channels that are run by different developers. And there are people at our studio that are engaged and very interested in some other VR or non-VR games. And we also we love to interact with the developers. And this is something we also try to do at Carbon Studio. And this is something that really helped us a couple of times, like many times, because for me, the most important place to the most, let's say, the one that I prefer is Reddit, to contact with players, with other developers, with people that might be interested in buying the game, in playing it. And we've used Reddit to run alpha testing of the game, beta testing before the early access. Then after early access, we've been also gathering from some feedback on different places. Of course, Reddit, Steam, Discord, and we find it. So it's, for me personally, it's very, very, it's something that makes me feel like my job is more like, it makes me love my job, being able to contact with the players. And sometimes it's a little bit stressful, because I'm like the hub for the communication between the developer team and the players. I'm the first person that receive all the negative feedback, also the positive and the negative. So it's a great feeling to like read people that really enjoy the game, and they say that, like someone said that he saw a dragon in the Wizards, and he have never felt like he has not feel this way like in the last 15 years, and he's still smiling like a couple of hours later. So it was really nice feedback, but sometimes I have to cope with people that are really pissed off, and usually they are right. So something I always do, I never try to make them like change their mind. If they say that something's not right, they usually are right. And for the Wizards, there are a lot of mistakes I think that we might made, but we have not, because we've been like following what the VR community thinks about different stuff, and we are happy to be as open as possible with the players. Yeah.
That's fantastic, because I mean, it wasn't more than just a few years ago that companies would make a game kind of in secret and not interact with anybody, and then here it is, you can just deliver it and say this is the game we made, and then go radio silent again, and just until the sequel came out a few years later. So it's really awesome to see Carbon Studio, like, you know, being kind of at the forefront of what gaming is these days. It's awesome to hear.
Yeah, so I think that the development team that go even further, for instance, allow players to design some quests, or I think that for the Wizards it will be cool if the community might figure out another spell for the game. We had an idea to do it, we did not manage to do it, but I really appreciate developers that allow the community to add their input to the game.
So listen, I think the question on everyone's mind, and I know you can't answer this specifically, but I'm hoping you can give us a vague answer. I sort of told everyone that maybe you were going to give us the release date for the Wizards on PlayStation VR, but as it turns out, you're not able to do that because you're still in negotiations with Sony.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I know the date, but I want to keep it secret. It's just we have to figure some stuff out before we're ready to lock the date. But to answer your question, I would say that if everything goes the well we expect, we will release the game next month. So February 2019 is the release of the Wizards Enhanced Edition on PlayStation VR.
Fantastic. And is it going to launch across all regions at the same time? This is a question that we're asked constantly. Games are constantly coming out here in North America, but then, like, you know, the UK and the rest of Europe has to wait like 4 months to get them.
No, it's the plan is to release on PlayStation US and Europe at the same time. So Europe, that means of course also UK, and US, that means the whole America and Australia, I guess, almost all the regions. The Asia will have to wait, but yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Lucky for us, I don't think we have a huge Asian audience. If we do, I'm totally wrong. But
yeah,
it's,
if there's anyone who plays on PlayStation Asia, I'm really sorry that you guys have to wait a little bit longer, but we're doing our best to bring it.
Well, I know that's going to make a lot of people happy because it's something that we hear over and over and over again. So just a final kind of question here about something tangentially related, I guess. Do you see a reason why this is happening more and more often? Why we're getting games here in North America and then it's taking forever for other parts of the world to get them? Is this any way related to Sony's certification process that we keep hearing? You know, it's like a whole nother world, this whole Sony certification process. It's like you submit it and then you just don't know what's going to happen. It's like this.
Yeah, so what I can definitely say, and maybe it's not obvious for all the players, it has not been obvious for me, is that it's not like a one PlayStation store. It's not like Steam, because I was sure that this is the way it is. And then it turned out that PlayStation Europe and PlayStation US, these are almost separate teams. So the stores, you can check that some games, they have like different descriptions, different trailers, different screenshots, and different release dates in Europe and US. And I'm not sure I can like directly answer your question,
sure.
But definitely you have to go through the certification process, usually separately in US and Europe. And maybe if you live close to Sony headquarters in US as a developer, you can know some people like personally, have better relationships with them. And for PlayStation Europe in UK, maybe it's not that obvious. I don't know what's the reason for that.
Paul, I want to thank you so much for being our first guest. I think this is
thank you.
An awesome first interview. Thanks for being so able to accommodate my schedule and all of my technical problems that I had on this end.
Thank you for the same. Yeah, I also had a couple of problems, so yeah, I'm happy it worked out.
And I can't wait to get back in touch after we've had a chance to play the Wizards and maybe do a follow up and see how everything went.
Yeah, me too, Bryan. Thank you very much.
All right, so that does it for the very first Without Parole developer interview. I think it went pretty well, but I have to say that Pawel made my life extremely easy. Not only was he friendly and easy to talk to, but he's also really knowledgeable and open about how things work over at Carbon. But on top of that, Carbon Studios is running, they're running high right now. They're riding a wave of success of the Wizards on PSVR, and we can only assume that it's going to go just as well when it gets here next month on PlayStation VR. So these kind of interviews are extremely easy to conduct, and I think this is going to be a great platform for developers. We can give them a half an hour to just talk about their game and discuss, some of the inner workings of their company. But I don't think everything's going to go this smooth moving forward. There are a ton of developers I want to talk to and find out what happened behind the scenes and why we got the game we got. And I have a lot to learn about being a reviewer. If you want to turn this video into a drinking game, you can go back and watch it again and take a shot every single time I say the word fantastic. I promise you'll be drunk 15 minutes in. I'm curious to hear your reactions to this first episode and see if it's something that you want more of. So thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Bryan Paul, and I love you all.